What is up, folks? Welcome back. It's the Sports Cliches podcast. I'm Jay. That's Craig. How y'all doing? It is week 30 or episode 33. We're going into week 14 in the NFL, and it's good to be back from a couple weeks off. Like the Denver Broncos offense just taking time off. Just kind of randomly in the middle of the season. How you
Listen,
how you doing, Greg? How you doing?
nah, not bad. Life happens, right? I had to work for a
Holidays for
couple
me.
weeks there,
Yeah.
holidays. It was a whole thing, but we're back just in time for the playoff push. Much like the
Absolute-
Detroit Lions, well, we can take the first half of the season off and still make a push for the playoffs.
Anything is possible in the NFC. But we'll be taking a look at some of the games, of course, coming up. We'll be taking a look at last night's game. But let's just jump right into it from the week prior that we missed out on. Craig, any games you would like to go into from
There's one that
last week's?
I think there's one that stands out to a lot of people based on a power balance dynamic in the AFC. Chiefs Bengals. I am fully convinced now the Bengals are the best team in the AFC. I'll throw myself on the line with that one. I think the Bills, Josh Allen's making way too many mistakes recently, on top of their defense just being absolutely tattered. The Chiefs are wildly inconsistent this season for some reason. They'll play really good games and really poor games. Their offense even has games where they disappear for a little bit. The Bengals started out poor, but that offensive line took a while to gel. It took a while for everybody to figure out how to play with each other. They've gotten a ton better over the last few weeks. They're doing this without Joe Mixon. You get Joe Mixon back, that offense is infinitely better. You get Jamar Chase back, that offense is infinitely better. They're still good enough to outgun teams if they need to with Higgins and Boyd, and Joe Burrow's the absolute definition of clutch. Samaje Perine stepping up big. I think the Bengals are the best team in the AFC right now. I think they've grown throughout the season to be that team. And I think last week was the proof. They 3 in a row now against the Chiefs. They just dominate this team.
As far as teams really playing well right now, I don't think that could be denied. You got a bye week in there, but they've won 4 straight. It's been an interesting one because I think we were thinking early this season it was not looking good for this team. We were wondering, along with the Rams, that they've unfortunately continued to be bad, continued to be beat up, injured, that sort of thing. This Cincinnati team was essentially kind of bringing more of what they had and then improving on what we thought, or where we thought were improvements on the offensive line. And at first, we were really kind of questioning that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You have a bad loss against a Pittsburgh team that, now at this that
he was starting.
true. Yeah, I mean, and just, that's a hell of a way to start the season, to lose at home to a division rival right there, and one that you really, really shouldn't be losing to.
Not that Steelers team.
The Dallas, that was that was the obviously, I believe, right after they lose Dak. They have their fun. Dallas has their fun ride with their backup, and so we were really unsure about Cincy because they had back-to-back bad losses. Cooper Rush, as much as we love him, you still lost to Cooper Rush. And that offense did not do that much.
Shout
they put
out
up 20
Central
points
Michigan
on you.
Chippewas.
They did, as recently as October 31st, good old Halloween, they did lose a bad game against the Browns recently.
Yeah.
You're talking about a Browns team that they're running out there with a quarterback that they did not expect to get as much run. And, at points doing better than they thought, but then, still a losing team in Jacoby Brissett and the Browns there. But, yeah, absolutely. Being able to come back, defensive side of the ball coming up clutch for you, obviously, that Kelsey strip. A play that's looking bad for you, you turn it into a positive, you get something out of it, you get a big turnover. You need those sort of plays. The Cincinnati team, last year plenty of turnovers coming from that defense. So you still need that to happen, and it looks like a little bit more of that function is happening for him. Joe Mixon, yeah, absolutely. We like P. Ryan, but yeah, absolutely. You're talking about another guy in Joe Mixon, and being able to now get him back. It looks like you're able to win a game against a team like the Chiefs and not have him. Jamar being out for the time that he was, now being able to come back as well. It's a hell of a mix, right? I mean, you're less wins obviously for this Cincinnati team because of how they did, but still, you're talking about an 8-4 team. Uh, Bills there at 9-3. Chiefs there 9-3, I believe as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Chiefs 9-3, Bills 9-3, and then you got like Dolphins, Ravens, Bengals 8-4.
It'll be a hell of a slugfest for sure. I mean, no doubt. And then yeah, I mean, you got a team right there in your own division going through their own injury problems as well. But um, I can't say they're the best in the AFC quite yet because they could lose to anybody.
Yeah,
They've kind
no,
of
it's
shown they
fair.
could lose to anybody, especially because that Cleveland game wasn't that long ago, and they're about to play them again. Uh, we'll talk about that game coming up, but yeah, they're right there. They're definitely right there. And that January 2nd game against the Bills and a game against the Ravens
Yeah,
to end the
yeah.
season, perfect. Like
Spicy games.
those are
Spicy games.
playoff games. Those are playoff games for the mere fact that might be for a division lead or a
A
first round
bye,
bye
potentially.
if you're
Yeah,
getting that with number one. So those are huge games for them.
right. You are
You
right
won a
now.
tiebreaker with the Chiefs, so it's like that'd be a big one for the Chiefs. I mean, for the Bills game to go their way,
Yeah.
because that's a one of one that you're gonna get this season. And then yeah, if you could take the series or tie the series, I should say, against Baltimore, yeah, you have all the chance right there to be number one.
Yeah, and like you could make the argument to me right now that any of the Bills, Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens, and Bengals are the best team in the AFC, and I could buy it. I think the AFC has some sharks at the top of that division. I do think the drop off from them to like the Titans and Jets though is quite real. Right. I know they're both those teams are 7-5 and technically only a game back of the teams I mentioned, the 8-4 ones.
Yeah.
They're not even on the same plane of existence, right? I think we've seen with the Titans, if you can stop Derrick Henry, they can do nothing against you. And I mean, the Jets are really starting to taper off. I appreciate the efforts of Mike White, but they look like they've hit a wall.
I mean, I think it's a hell of a thing when you have to in a winning season. You just can't stick with a guy anymore like the Jets have, and you have to go to back to Mike White, who at least seemingly gives that locker room some energy. And if there's one thing this team seems to operate well around, it's uh, you know, it's Bob Sala, and it's like that team being fired up. I think they really work off that energy. That's how they've won games. They don't win them necessarily pretty. They kind of need that momentum. They need that get a guy you can get behind, that sort of thing. And I think that's what they're going to have with hopefully Mike White going forward. Does he have the tools to get the wins for him? That's another question. And
I
so
think he kind of does. I like the fact that he's got that gunslinger in him, right? There's no fear in Mike White. He goes out there and chucks the ball. Um, you can argue that as being a good thing or a bad thing, but I mean Brett Favre made a career off of it, right? Of just going out there and chucking the ball, throw as many interceptions as I like. I'll throw one more touchdown and win some games. I feel
yeah,
like Mike White's got a little bit of that dog in him.
I think he's good, and he has the ability to perform at a good level. But he's in the unfortunate situation that one, he's in the AFC, two, he's in the AFC East, where he's gonna be the third best team at probably best. I mean, better than Miami, better than
No,
Buffalo.
no.
Yeah, and you got to hope that you're able to scrap it out against New England. Now, can they still land in the playoffs? Absolutely. Obviously, 7-5, still all the ability to. But yeah, that's tough for them. And yeah, I mean, Tennessee, it's that defense and that running game when it's going. They don't have to win by a bunch. They're just gonna kind of whittle you down more or less. So yeah, not the prettiest of wins, but yeah, no, I gotta agree. They're kind of that tier two for sure.
Yeah.
You gotta you have to clear the tops and uh, yeah, Bengals and Chiefs. That was a fantastic game. Of course, coming down to the wire yet again with these guys, but Bengals, seemingly have the Chiefs number. They've won the last three against
Yeah,
them
they've won 3 in a row
regular.
against the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Game last season, regular season, playoff game.
playoffs.
Game
Yeah.
this season, regular
Yeah.
season. Also worth noting, the Bengals turnaround has a lot to do with BJ Hill getting back in that lineup. Such a big part of that defense is that DJ in interior, right? And I think losing BJ Hill hurt them a lot defensively. Getting him back into the fold the last couple of games has done nothing but good things for that defense.
Yeah, it's it was a surprising at times their defense has really let up, when you're talking about giving up, the things like 30 plus to Cleveland or, just more points than you'd expect from a defense that we both kind of liked and figured be getting better as long as pretty much as long as that line was able to continue to get the pressure as they did. And yeah, it kind of shows the that BJ DJ combo. It is really nice to get him back healthy. I'm sure that's what they're thinking. So
Yeah.
Cincinnati, quite a turnaround from first half, and yeah, they might be one of the best in the AFC. As we go on, I have a couple games myself, and we were actually just talking about this team. I think one game I wanted to bring up from last week, a nice little game between the New York Jets. We were just talking about Mike White and the New York Jets, and the Minnesota Vikings. Quite a interesting little scrap, but this is the main point. I didn't want to talk about necessarily any of the exact points of the games. We've brought this up before. This has been a topic of discussion, and it's the fascinating world that is Kirk Cousins. A dichotomy of two guys, the daytime and the nighttime, and the early morning riser and god that Kirk Cousins is. And how it will just never translate to past 4 p.m. This is what I gotta say about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, I talked about this. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I've talked about this with like my brother-in-law sort of thing. So, Kirk Cousins is essentially, in my mind, in another life, like a pastor or something like that. Maybe like missionary. This man rises with Jesus, all right? And it's the American Jesus too, trust me. This is Kirk Cousins here we're talking about. He's rising with American Jesus, and he's, this is the guy, he's probably like the best guy to bring on like the 5 a.m. like hunting trip or something like that. If you're going hunting with the guys, fishing trip. Kirk Cousins is the AM. Goddamn. Can this guy, it's not always impressive. He only threw in this game for 173 and a tutty. But he's got the lore on his side when it's the AM games. I swear to God, if they played the Super Bowl at 10 in the morning, Vikings all the way. And it will be interesting. We'll talk about the game later here. I think the Vikings going forward, there's been a lot of talk and adjustment about how teams need to, the pivoting of games. They'll take a Sunday night game and they'll be like, that's going to be trash, and we'll move an actual good game from the late afternoon into the prime time. Kirk Cousins needs to get in there. He needs to get in the ear of the Vikings management. He's like, I need you to get me as many fucking 10 a.m. kickoffs as you possibly can.
No.
Prime time. No. I do not want to be on Monday Night Football. I don't care if your concession sales are better. People are buying the beers and shit like that. You want to win? You want a Super Bowl in this town? 10 a.m. kickoffs only. That's West Coast, anyways. I guess it's one for him. But
Yeah,
even the late afternoon games, it's not nearly as
yeah,
good
yeah.
because then you're getting the sun setting hour. He's gonna be
Yeah, you
knocked
get
out
like
by
6
6.
o'clock. You're getting too late, man. By the end of that game, it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I need to be done dinner at that point. I need to be in bed with a cup of hot chocolate, watching some movies. This is
And
6 o'clock, man. This whole playing football
and
thing,
really,
I'm not for it.
that's what this game came down to. Kirk Cousins ever so patient in the early morning, getting it done with nothing. Mike White throwing for 369, 2 picks. This Mike White is I have a feeling more of a nighttime guy, just a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. Might do his work at the PM a little bit better. I feel like Mike White gets it done at night. All right. Kirk Cousins though, just a legend of 10 a.m. and breakfast Kirk Cousins. That's what I'll call breakfast Kirk Cousins. He's your breakfast cousin. Exactly.
Here, I thought we were gonna talk about my boy Zanovin Bam Knight.
That was quite a surprise. And I know we've been taking a look and wondering where the hell James Robinson is, and then they just kind of do the okey doke on us and
Yeah.
put in. I picked up James Robinson on a flyer just for a
Okay.
chance in
Yeah.
fantasy. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm glad I didn't put this guy in. He's getting nothing.
No,
Yeah,
they love that Bam.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this game.
Shouts out Wolfpack, by the way.
NC State.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
I know very little about him. I remember he was at NC State. He had a really good season a couple years ago. The shortened season, the 6 game one, he was like unbelievable for him. Uh, NC State's one of those teams that always exists in the background for me. They're like, yeah, NC State exists. They're like too big of a school for me to be like, oh, I want to latch on to them, and too shitty of a school for me to care. Like, oh, NC State's playing somebody big. They're gonna lose.
Uh, and then I guess the only other things I want to bring up, just a couple of quick hit things on this. Um, obviously, I think great to see at least, they've had one of their rookies on the offensive side unfortunately go down, but to still see, Garrett Wilson, obviously, he's still getting out there.
Uh,
Uh, Corey Davis able to supplement as well. Interesting thing, I think, in the fact that, Elijah Moore cannot seem to get traction no matter who the fuck's at quarterback right now. So that'll be interesting going forward how much value they still have on Elijah Moore. They tried to get him the ball in this game. 6 targets, 2 receptions, 7 yards. Like, I don't know. And then lastly, the fucking guy, Greg the Leg Zerline. The only reason that this Jets team was even in
yeah.
consideration was on the leg of Greg. So, only things I wanted to really point out of that. Jesus, Kirk Cousins, and Garrett Wilson and Greg Zerline, basically.
Yeah, no, that yeah, it was an interesting game, but
Definitely,
yeah,
like it was. I was, keeping it on, and Minnesota pulled away in that second quarter, but the Jets kept fighting there, and it's just like if they could just turn some of those goddamn field goals into touchdowns, we're talking about a completely different game.
yeah,
But they just couldn't finish them off. And credit to the Minnesota defense. Bend don't break. It's getting it
yeah,
done.
yeah. I like them a lot better with Mike White at quarterback though than Zach Wilson. I like the fact that
It-
offense seems to go for it a little bit more.
okay, so we might as well talk about that. So, what do you do with Zach Wilson at this point? Like, I feel like if not stayed on the Jets somehow and backing up the situation, like who's picking up Zach Wilson and is excited about it
I mean,
outside the super desperate?
That's excited about it. No one. Who's
Yeah,
picking him up?
Carolina,
Carolina.
Houston, Houston,
No,
perhaps.
because Houston's gonna have a high draft pick. They're taking one of the young quarterbacks in the draft. Maybe as a backup situation, but I think
Den-
more likely a team maybe like I was gonna say Washington, but you'd much rather have Heineke.
yeah,
Um,
Denver.
Pittsburgh?
Denver might be all right if you're in a shit show situation. Anyways, you might be able to pick up some things. Maybe I don't
Yeah,
know, but
fuck it,
like
have some fun.
he's
Go into
gotta
next year
not.
with
He's got to not put up 3 points in a fucking game and then not admit that it was a little bit of his fault that they didn't fucking win a game.
that. I think is the big issue with
That's
Zach
the big
Wilson right
one,
now.
man.
Is his personality that's starting to come out has
Shitty.
been a little bit concerning. I think to a lot of people. The laissez-faire attitude. The nah, it wasn't my fault. Don't look at me. I didn't do it. I only put up 3 points, but like, you know, defense, they deserve a little bit of the blame too. Forget the fact that they literally gave up 0 points. It was a field goal and a kick return touchdown. Let's just ignore that. Wasn't on me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think he necessarily believes that, but the fact that he'll go
Of
out and
course
has
he does it.
and he has the goal to fucking say it, and like maybe kind of a defiant, like maybe he's obviously he's not. Nobody wants to after that kind of performance actually have to talk to reporters about it. You know, something around that question is going to be brought up, and to just kind of it's more important for you to you're just so much in your feelings or whatever that you have to react that way to that question. No. And like one word, no explanation. Just like, all right, guy. Yeah, you can sit on the bench. And that's exactly what the fucking did.
Yeah.
Hey, in a tough situation in which you have a team that was doing well and is slipping from your grasp and you're seeing it happen right in front of you, it's like, we're 7-5 now. This isn't good. We're third in our division. Playoffs were kind of there, and now it's like the exact things we don't want happening are happening. Credit to Bob Sala to just pull the trigger. He's like, you know what? At least with Mike White, I'm getting the locker room back into it.
Yeah,
we're getting some energy here. And if I could get a guy like Knight to come out of nowhere and start producing in the backfield, I'd have receivers that I like. Maybe this all could start coming back together. Obviously, 7-5, it's not like they're out of it, but it's like the writing's on the wall, the eye test, and it's just like, it's slipping. And hopefully they get the traction back. They got a hell of a test coming up. Nothing easy coming up for the Jets in their next game as they head to Buffalo. But
to be fair, back-to-back 300-plus yard games through the air, right? Like, they're schmooving the ball. If they can start finishing off drives, the team's going to be scary. But...
Yeah, a little bit of garbage time in there. But yeah, absolutely. No, they were driving the ball. They were moving the ball. It just continuously ended up in threes. And that's just not going to be enough, when the other team's able to just put up a couple touchdowns on you. Only other game I wanted to bring up, and of course we got to bring this one up.
I know you want to bring up Big Cock Brock.
Well, yes, Big Cock Brock came, and right there with porn star Jimmy. Let it be known that the San Francisco quarterbacks, this one, okay, so you see Jimmy G go down in the first, and it's just immediately this like crap. Like he's gotten dinged up this season, anyways, and you're just hoping. And then I think it was just like a commercial break, and then obviously Miami's drive, and like he was on the bench, and you thought he might, and then all of a sudden he's getting carted off, and it was just like that's the fucking worst thing. You can see. Brock Purdy, he was a training camp legend. He was a constant that we saw in the preseason. Hit and miss a little bit on the preseason stuff. And his last appearance in the regular season before this, most famously, was him completely missing a handoff to the other side. I actually don't think that was on him, by the way. I think the back actually went the wrong way on it.
I was okay.
I think the back went
somebody said it because I've seen that so many times, and I'm looking at the offensive line blocking and everything, and I'm going, the back went the wrong way. The whole line pulls that way.
Yeah.
Brock leads, and then the running back goes behind. The back went the wrong way.
Still scraped it out for like 3 yards or whatever the fuck he got. He still got yards out of it, out of that mess. But no, so this game as a whole, in watching it, God love how obviously the defense was able to step up. They finally gave up some points in the second half, and Miami was able to get this within a score in the fourth, but it was as close to that game was, it felt pretty good to see how the team was operating offensively and defensively, even though it wasn't a pull away game by any means. But definitely the kind of performance we wanted to see in general against a good team like Miami, obviously. This was going to be very interesting. I was very interesting with what McDaniels was going to have drawn up for us, and obviously first play of the game, Tua just hits a nice little slant, nothing amazing. I think he goes 7 and in, and just a nice gap in the defense, and then Hufanga completely missing a tackle, and then bam, it's just a fucking 75-yard touchdown, and you kind of throw up your hands at it. When you play aggressive,
scored a 75-yard touchdown on the first play.
Yeah,
Trent Sherfield.
And it was the talk the whole time. There was not only Trent, obviously there was the words that came out from Mostert. I think Jeff Wilson even had a little something to say. And just the general kind of like, yeah, this is Mike McDaniel coming back. First year as the head coach, he's playing the team that he was just, running game coordinator for. This was a pretty big game, not just between two winning teams, just a little bit more emotion behind it. It was great to see. And I love the fucking swagger that all of a sudden we get this kid, Mr. Irrelevant, big cock Brock Purdy, coming in and just like, I just love the energy from the kid. Seems goddamn fearless. There's a ball that he throws, I believe, in the second quarter or so. He's winding back. Trent Williams, one of the few times he lets the guy gets around him. So the right end is getting that arm up and just barely on the wind back. He doesn't even notice it. He's just focused on delivering the ball. Now, that could go against him because that could easily just been a fumble. Literally, if that swat is just like a couple inches over, that's a fumble probably because he's getting hit right there in the back. But yeah, the kid's willing to go out there. He's willing to, rush the ball when needed or, tuck it and run, basically. Not necessarily. I don't know how comfortable Shanahan's going to be with trying to call runs for him, especially because they're down to their third quarterback at this point. Do you really need to get another guy injured? All the more potential to get injured if you run with them. This is now, all of a sudden, a team that is going to be operated. Of course, you have some usual suspects. Obviously, we're going to have always Debo and Ayuk, Jennings, Kittle, But now, you're talking about Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, and Jordan Mason are going to be probably some of your main contributors on an offense now. Was not what I expected as a Niners fan coming into the season, and that's where we're at. I don't even want to say cautiously optimistic. I hate that fucking term. Don't be a pussyfoot about it. But like, I not thinking the crazy, ceiling's crazy high. Oh yeah, we're winning the Super Bowl with this kid. But at this current point, I think he plays the style of game. Shanahan's going to call the style of game. Niners run the style of offense to where absolutely they could still win games for sure with this kid. And I don't think he's really afraid of the moment. Iowa State Cyclone kid, 4-year start out of there. He's your second most experienced quarterback on the roster right now, outside of them just signing Josh Johnson, who is like 35, I think.
And has played for everyone at this point.
Yes.
Is there a team that Josh Johnson hasn't played for?
This is his third stint with the Niners, by the way.
I've said it before. If you had asked me pre-draft, I had Brock Purdy late third round, early fourth. That's the kind of talent I thought Brock Purdy had. I looked at him as like an unbelievably raw quarterback, but with some great tools. The arm is there. His lowest rushing total in a season in college was 240 yards. Dude's got legs on him, right? He might not be a tuck it and run all the time guy, but he's got legs. He moves the ball. Every season in college, he had at least 5 touchdowns on the ground.
And
there's a
sorry, no, go for it, go for it.
no, there's a lot there with Brock Purdy. He's raw, and he's gonna need a little bit of patience, right? He's gonna make some mistakes out there.
Yeah,
This
definitely.
isn't a guy who was coming out of college NFL ready. But I was shocked when I heard he was Mr. Relevant. I thought Brock Purdy has legitimate NFL playing potential, maybe as like a fringe starter, really good backup kind of guy, but he's got that level in him. I don't look at Brock Purdy and look at, say, where Zach Wilson is right now and go, you are worse. I just don't think he is.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm hoping this is as many passes as he'll have to do. He had to throw those balls 37 times in this game,
Yeah.
which is a lot in this
Yeah.
offense. But this team was, you know, moving the ball well enough. I think the interesting thing for me going forward with him is going to be, one, kind of what I brought up. Do they start, because he had some decent legs in college, so you might have drafted him thinking that you're going to utilize him for that. I wonder if any of that's going to come into the playbook, the calling that Shanahan's going to do going forward. And then outside of Purdy, what was very interesting to me, and I really like to see it because he looked pretty decent in preseason, and we haven't been able to see him much. But their running back room has been so deep and evolving that we haven't been able to. But Jordan Mason, I think, is a, if you don't have Jeff Wilson there, as far as like a guy who is going to make probably a nice one cut move and just get his head down and be able to just hit a hole, that sort of thing. I think Jordan Mason's the guy. I think they're going to utilize him uh, a decent amount in this offense. I think he'll be a good spell to Christian McCaffrey. Now, is he going to catch out of the backfield like Christian McCaffrey? Definitely not. But
No.
I think he is absolutely the kind of guy you could use in there as another efficient runner. And I think that element is going to start coming back potentially a little bit more for Debo as well in this offense to get the ball in his hands. They gave Purdy the opportunity to do that in this last game. Good amount of quick passes, some bubble screens, that sort of thing, flat routes. That's what they're able to utilize for Purdy in the passing game. So I expect more of that as far for Purdy going forward. But I really like Jordan Mason as well. And if you took a look at the performance last week for Purdy, one of his most impressive passes. Now there was like the third and 8 one to Kittle over the middle with the blitz coming, the unprotected, blitz, and he's just able to get that ball down there. You love to see that because it's just literally staring pressure in the face and being able to still deliver that ball down the field for a first down to Kittle is incredible. It was really nice to see. His best throw potentially of the day was on an incompletion to Christian McCaffrey. And it was on a somewhat busted play in the red zone, back of the end zone. Christian McCaffrey is going from left to right as Purdy is kind of scrambling, getting into space. He's able to, through the chaos and the pressure, he throws essentially what is kind of like a down low back pass, like behind him pass. But it's the only place he could have gone to where Christian McCaffrey could have caught it without a defender getting either blowing him up or getting to the ball first, basically. He put it in the perfect spot, and McCaffrey read it, able to get down for the ball, just couldn't wrap it in. But like that vision, the little bit of that gunslingerness, love to see it. If the kid, he seems a little fearless in there, and that's gonna account for some mistakes, like you said. He's gonna make some mistakes. He's gonna have some turnovers. He had a terrible turnover. I mean, it was on the fourth down. They tried to do a streak down the right sideline, and he just underthrew it. He needed to place that like 2 feet, a foot and a half above where he did. Went for it. It was an arm punt essentially at that point. But yeah, outside of that, love what I saw out of the kid. So
I will say too, it looks like they've done some work on his throwing motion. If you watched him in college, it could be labored sometimes. Ball took a couple seconds to come out of his hands a lot. He was great at reading progressions. He was always great at like going from receiver to receiver, which by the way, for a college quarterback is something that's really difficult to do. It usually takes a couple years into the NFL to be able to read progressions. You're only recently starting to see guys like Mac Jones get a lot better at getting through his progressions and stuff like that. Uh, Brock Purdy always had that skill down. But sometimes the motion from plant to throw was a little bit labored, right? It was always like a no matter what he was doing, it was a stop all the way back, all the way through. It looks like they've worked with him on that. I noticed the ball was getting out of his hands a little bit quicker. He didn't seem like he was like every play had to be a motion kind of thing, right? Like you mentioned on the one where he's scrambling out, I saw the exact same throw that you did, where he's scrambling out, he's able to get it out low and quick. He was able to break his usual routine to get a ball there, to get it as accurately as he could, right? These are things that are incredible strides for a guy who a lot of people looked at, like I did, as maybe a mid to late round draft pick, right? So I don't know. I think he looks like he's made incredible strides in half a season of being on the practice squad, being on the scout team. It does help to have a veteran quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, who's just he's a guy who has a very pretty throwing motion, right? It's a very crisp throwing motion, and when you're a guy like Brock Purdy, who that might be something you struggle with, it's got to help a little bit to see that throwing motion every time, right? You can say whatever you want about Garoppolo through the good and the bad. His throwing motion is clean,
Yeah. And
right? So I think that's helped
yeah,
out Brock Purdy a lot.
yeah, and I think Garoppolo is a guy who, I'm sure he's going to be in his ear. He's going to be helping him through, the whole, the locker room, on the sideline, that sort of thing. I think that's what he was. That's what he literally. That's the crazy thing about this season. He was brought in out of nowhere to come back to this
Yeah,
team to be a backup. It's then thrust right back into being the starter for this team right away, basically. And then now it's back to, a backup
you're the
that's not going to
mentor.
play, but yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I think that goes. Uh, I think that sort of mentality is going to go a long way for him. In having the still an impact on this team, even though he won't be playing until potentially, as been rumored, the ability for him to come back by the divisional or championship round if the Niners get there. So crazy news out of that, but there's still that question in the air of Jimmy G actually still being able to play this season. But yeah, going forward, um, it's gonna be it'll be a learning process. There'll be some growing pains, but I think Purdy is on a great trajectory and on a great team to be able to do it. For I think it was uh, not too sure on the defense who said it specifically. I want to say maybe Fred, maybe it was Greenlaw even, one of the linebackers I believe, but said as asked about Brock Purdy, he said, "Yeah, the kid's been playing the practiced offense against the best defense in the league," talking about themselves. Brock Purdy's literally been facing one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league in the starting San
it
Francisco
was Dre
defense.
Greenlaw. I
Dre
read that
Greenlaw,
quote.
yes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And
it's a funny concept, but yeah, I mean, who's he been seeing across the field from in
that's just it.
practice?
Right? You're throwing against Charvarius Ward all game. You're seeing the rushes from Bosa and from Greenlaw and from this just ridiculous list of players that they have, Omenahu and whoever they have out there
Yeah.
who is rushing the quarterback at all times. Who are you going to play that's going to be a better defense than that? I will say, too, also worth noting with Brock Purdy, one last thing on him. This is the guy who in college was a three-time academic All-American. This is a guy who was a two-star recruit coming out of high school. Only D1 offer was Iowa State,
Hmm.
right? Had no offers from anywhere else. Ended up being a three-time all-conference player, one-time second-team All-American, I believe. This is a guy who is no stranger to being the underdog, no stranger to being the guy who's been overlooked right? This is a guy who went to an Iowa State program, by the way. I know we look at Iowa State now as kind of like this upper mid-tier program in that conference. They were shit
Oh yeah, no, they
before Brock
yeah.
Purdy came in, man. That was a team that was, I believe, the season before Brock Purdy, they finished 2-10, right? Like they were bad, right? This is not a guy who's used to being the sexy pick, right? There's times where where if you've always been the guy, coming in off of being a backup can really be a struggle to you. That's not Brock Purdy, right? He's been in this position before of nobody believes you can actually do this. He was a 2-star recruit, right? Barely anybody. I believe his 3 scholarship offers, if I remember this correct, were Iowa State, Wofford, and Youngstown State,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I mean, this is a guy who was being courted by all the sexy universities. Um, he made it,
Yeah.
right? He made it through heart, he made it through determination, he made it through just a willingness to improve.
And
That
there's
kind of a guy on an offense like the Niners, on a team like the Niners, will just fit in like a glove.
let's see. I so there's a great couple examples of kind of the yin and the yang that you get with Brock Purdy. And there's one throw, and I don't know the teams that he was playing against. I should remember the second one. But so the first throw is him, and it's like it's like the Mahomes play from a couple years ago, where Mahomes is just running for his goddamn life, and he's scrambling out to the right, and he's about to take a sack. And as he's going, he's falling down, like falling to his right. He just barely gets that ball off. Ends up being a
Yeah,
uh, drop catch, actually, if I remember correctly. Excuse me. But just an incredible, like, oh, Patrick Mahomes, he can make that throw. Like, da, da, da. And uh, unfortunately, was incompletion. Purdy makes a very, very similar, and I even think potentially even more impressive throw for Iowa State. I believe it ends up as an incompletion as well. But the mere fact he's like that far off the ground, his entire body is horizontal to it, and he's still able to get the rotation and get this ball out. And it gets out like maybe 10 yards, 15 yards, like not at all, like maybe 10 yards actually. I don't see the play after, but it looks like it's going to be an incompletion. It doesn't look like there's anywhere in there.
I can tell you exactly who it is and exactly what happened. It's against Wisconsin that he makes that throw,
Okay.
and it does end up being a completion that's about a yard short of the first down.
Oh, it is a completion. So,
Yeah.
like, I was just stunned seeing that aspect of the play. I couldn't find anything where it actually showed
Yeah, it does end
that
up
play
being a
fully,
completion that's about a yard
which was
short.
annoying as hell. I'm like, okay, it's probably an incompletion, but God, that's impressive. There's a similar play, not a similar play. Actually, the circumstances are completely different. But there's another play that Brock Purdy makes. I can't remember what team, but he's getting sacked, and he's like 7 yards behind the line. He's scrambling out, and he's getting spun around as he's going down for the sack, and he's still holding the ball, and he just hucks this thing, and he hucks this thing about 7 yards behind his line of scrimmage, right to a defensive player for a touchdown. I'm like, yeah, that's what you fucking get. Sometimes he does that, other times he's gonna do that, and it's not gonna. And it was just like he's just trying to make a play. The guy's just trying to make a play, and he's not scared of it, but it's also gonna look not so great when he doesn't make the play. I can't remember who the fuck it was against. If I
I know that, I remember that one too because it was on a Come On Man, but I don't remember who was playing there. I remember the Wisconsin throw because I remember I was watching that game. Um, I don't remember the backwards one. Let me
Yeah,
find
I
it.
can see the video for the Ford one, but yeah,
TCU. TCU.
TCU. That sounds right. Yeah, and it was just right to the
Yeah, it
defender. He's
was it
just
was
like,
TCU.
"Thank you, Tony." And like, all right, well, doesn't always go your way, but yeah,
Yeah.
Brock Purdy, baby. Um, yeah, and I see as far as that game is concerned, I think that's mostly. I mean, it will be interesting going forward. This Niners team, obviously, you're built behind that defense right now. D'Amico Ryans and that squad in general is just firing on all cylinders. It's great to have Eric Armstead back.
Yes.
that's going to be so big for
Charvarius
everything the team.
Ward is just an absolute fucking machine back there, man.
And then
You cannot stress enough how important that pickup was to this defense.
yeah,
Because it what it did was that secondary had a bunch of guys playing at a phenomenal level, but they were all about one step too high from where they should have been. Right? You have guys like Ambry Thomas having to step up and fill first cornerback reps, well, they're probably second, third quarterback guys. You bring in Charvarius Ward, it pushes everybody down one. Now everybody's playing at that same phenomenal level, but they're all like, what you end up with is a true number one who's an absolute shutdown number one, and you have this like dominant level of guys behind him who can all step up and play the position at a great level.
yeah,
You cannot stress enough how important that signing was.
yeah. I think Ward, Jimmy Ward, you getting back
Yeah,
healthy. Hufunga, obviously, like
obviously.
that's just been those safeties, getting him in as corner, and then already adding to that front seven.
Yeah.
These defense will be just fine, I feel. And then you're gonna need a guy. I feel like outside of Christian McCaffrey, you got to have a guy that's you're really looking to hand the ball off to and just kind of get it right. Get you some yards right down the field with not too much fuss. And I think that's hopefully what they'll have in Jordan Mason going forward. So looking forward. It's going to be a different look. It's not going to be what we expected out of the Niners. Necessarily as far as who's going to be contributing on offense. But yeah, I think all the abilities to continue to win and set themselves up for the playoffs. Let's go into this week. Might as well jump right into it. And might as well start out with last night's game, one we already know the results to. And this one was tough to watch for the most part, and then it got interesting, and then it was just it's kind of jaw dropping by the end of it. But we have the Las Vegas Raiders going into LA face off against the Rams, and the Rams pulling off a come behind 2-minute drill victory deep in their own zone. And doing it against or leading the team down there being Baker Mayfield, fresh off the plane, basically, guy that was there for 2 days. I know you probably have some things to say about this, at least as far as one coaching staff is concerned, but this is a very Las Vegas Raiders loss, honestly.
Oh my God. Why is he still... Oh, I know why he's still there. You can't afford to pay him.
Apparently.
But, like...
Or to cut him.
Fuck.
I don't understand how you could... I mean... man.
You run an NFL
fucked.
franchise. There's gotta be money somewhere.
Yeah.
Like... Oh...
Yeah.
How... Okay, you can't afford to pay him. I get that. You're already paying one head coach to not coach for your team. You don't want to have to pay a second head coach to not coach for your team. Why did you hire him? He was shit the first time. This isn't... I've said it before when I compared Nate Hackett to Josh McDaniels. Nate Hackett never coached anywhere else before. Nate Hackett is a new guy on the block. You want to give him a chance. He's been a sexy offensive coordinator his whole career. Yeah, he's looking fine. You're thinking he can slide in, be your coach. Doesn't work. That's fine. I understand that. Josh McDaniels already failed at this job. Miserably. Then he goes back and is the Patriots offensive coordinator. He gets to coach Tom Brady, and now all of a sudden everybody's like, "Hey, Josh McDaniels, you looking fine over there. Want to coach the Raiders?" What? This man, he can't keep getting away with it. I don't know. I've fully, I'll look at the positive of it. I'll look at the positive. Anybody out there watching the NFL going, man, these guys out there making millions, living a good life. Ah, if you ever you ever feel depressed, just remember, Josh McDaniels is the most useless person at his job, and somebody still wanted to hire him. Believe in yourself the way people believe in Josh McDaniels, and you'll be great.
Yeah, lesson to be learned. Exactly. No, I mean, like, we've had a handful of coaches that, yeah, we've seen this season. One of who already's been fired in Matt Rule. But I've never come across a situation where I think all signs point to you need to fire this guy, and you don't have the ability to because it's going to cost you too much. It might be the worst like pretzel that you could possibly imagine for this team because you just picked up Devontae Adams. You're about to potentially lose Josh Jacobs, probably because you didn't pick up
because you didn't want to pay him.
You didn't pick up a 5th-year option, and
now he's gonna get broken off.
You got to be worried about a guy like Darren Waller. As nice as he's now been a bit injured, and how much you're going to be able to rely on this guy. And outside of that, I mean, Derek Carr, he could throw a beautiful ball down the field, and it could be like, yeah, this guy could do it. And then I don't know if you saw that play. It was toward the end of this first half. That absolute just flop duck that he throws up.
Yeah.
I would expect that potentially at a Brock Purdy. Derek Carr, you are getting paid too much money. You have too much shit on the line to be making those kind of decisions. It was maybe the worst pass all season. There's been some terrible passes this season. I couldn't believe that decision. He literally cost his team potential points on himself. Like, it wasn't like a bad rap. That's just a really bad ball. Where's that going? Like, I couldn't believe that. And yeah, I don't know. This Raiders team, they've lost some bad games. This game was like they had multiple times where they could have just wrapped it up. They had a 4th and 3 that was going to be punt back to him or whatever, offsides on a 4th and 3. Yeah. Give it to him for free. Okay. And then on that last drive,
3rd and 16 or whatever
Tillery?
it was. Yeah.
Who had been like, I was actually kind of earlier in the game, made a great couple plays. I was seeing, I'm like, damn, the Chargers let this guy go. They just released him, and it's like, all right, well, it looks like the Raiders could use him. And then he goes and does some stupid shit like that. It's just like, holy. The Raiders is the Raiders. Like, right now, not only does it not look good, but it's like, man, it might not be looking good for a while, and especially if they're stuck with this fucking coach.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say about it anymore, right? Like, what can be said that hasn't already been said? By everybody. Right. This isn't just like a me thing. This isn't just like an us thing. Everybody knows. When he got hired, the thing everybody was saying was like, did you not see the last team he coached? This isn't his first rodeo. He kind of sucked the first time. You sure? Brian Flores is sitting right there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then I would say on the other side of the ball, I mean, everybody's going to rant and rave, and I think justifiably so, for Baker being able to come in to this team out of fucking nowhere and being able to actually at least orchestrate that last drive. Now, good 50 minutes of that game, that offense looked god awful. They can do fucking anything,
You
right?
only have 48 hours with the team.
Of course, but most of that game doesn't look good, right? And in general, his plays of late, nothing to really inspire a lot of confidence. I mean, he literally lost his starting job this season one time already to BJ Tucker. Walker?
Walker.
Thank you. I did that last night too. I called him BJ Tucker.
PJ Tucker, former NBA player.
Yeah. Shit.
Former?
That. Great question. I
No, he's with the Sixers.
yeah. I was about to say I could have swore I've heard his name like kind of recently-ish for whatever reason. But that being said, it's not like he hasn't had some impressive numbers as far as the seasons are concerned recently. And then obviously you have the injury, you have that end of the season or the fall off at the end of the season when he was with the Browns, and then they just kind of kick him to the curb more or less because they go in their direction with what they want a quarterback. And yeah, it's kind of Baker's a low cost option for a team that's not going to probably be doing very much, and he lost that job. Did he have a lot around him? No, of course not. Does he have a lot around him now? Hell no.
A little bit more than he had in Carolina, at least. But
A little bit, but not much. I mean, the offensive line, I guess this was the first time they have actually had the same offensive line back-to-back games. So, it's something I've harped on continuously about this fucking Rams team. They just don't have an offensive line. That's at least a sign of something.
It's a stab.
Yeah. And, you know, it'll go better than what the Rams had previously. I think it's only costing the Rams like 1.5 against the cap or something like that mil.
Nothing.
So, I mean, why the fuck not if you're the Rams, of course. I'm not expecting fucking jump out your seat, play from the guy. And honestly, he kind of got fucking hosed in Cleveland in that situation. And unfortunately fell to a shitty Carolina team. So, we'll see it going forward. But this season, the Rams actually, probably get a little bit better. And he's at least in a little bit better situation. And going forward, I mean, who knows? You might be looking at a potential, longer term job here with the Rams, depending on how Stafford plays it out. I know that's in question, as far as the concussions and that sort of thing, if they want to stick around with that. So who knows? It's a quiet change. It's quite a sudden switch, but might kind of line up and work out for him.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I don't think Baker's a long-term solution.
Stopgap for sure.
Yeah.
Gets you from A to B.
Yeah, you never know. Could show you a little something, and the Rams get a cheap quarterback that they didn't know they were going to get.
I think you need to figure out your running game, obviously, too. I mean, you just have nothing there. The Cam Akers situation, it's interesting how they're starting to play him again, but like the fact that they were trying to do the 1-2 with Henderson is then cut, goes to the Jags. Now Henderson is cut from the fucking Jags. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
But like, yo, what'd they see there? That guy got cut by the fucking Jags. Like, yeah, kind of brutal in that situation too. And then obviously, not having Kupp there, that's going to really hurt a team that really just relied on that guy for a lot of offense. So, probably better going forward for him. And yeah, good luck to Baker going forward. And yeah, good luck to the fucking Raiders with their situation.
It's bad, and it's not going to get any better.
Doubtful. Let's jump right into the games coming up. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know how you feel about it, but I breezed through these picks.
I struggled.
This was this is hopefully the confidence breeds some winning here as far as the picks go. And we might as well review since we've been gone a couple weeks. We did still cover our picks. I had a pretty bad week a couple weeks
We had a
ago.
we
Well,
had a blinder a couple
I'm
weeks ago.
I'm kind of glad we didn't actually do a pod for that one because my picks went 3-10. Um,
Only marginally better for your boy here.
um, Craig went 5-8.
It
Last
was
week we
bad.
both go 8-6. So now we're looking at I'm looking at a decently over 500 record. Craig Cole pulls back over 500
I'm
with his
back over
record.
500.
And we'll get into this week's slate of picks now, I suppose. And we'll kick it off with a AFC East matchup. We got the New York Jets going into Buffalo to face off against the Bills. Jets coming out at 7-5. Bills sitting at 9-3. Bills going to be getting a -10 here at home. Um, Obviously, we're still dealing with the new Mike White era of the Jets. See how that develops. The Bills coming off of 3 straight wins so far. Lately, did get that very, very close one to Detroit on Thanksgiving. Other than that, yeah, kicked the shit out of New England. Although New England looked like they're, from what I remember, kind of hanging around in there at first, and then the Bills pulled away on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, who do you got in Buffalo?
I hate this one. I'll let you know right now. I hate it.
-10.
Um,
Big spread.
the spread, man, the spread. Um,
This is a
oh,
Josh Allen that has somehow thrown 11 picks, which I think is like second most in the league.
yeah, he's been bit by the turnover
And
bug.
this is a nicely turnover hungry Jets team that also could rush the quarterback. So interesting. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a spicy one. I think -10's a little. That's a little much for my blood.
Sauce Gardner hasn't had a pick since week 9.
Yeah, maybe not
Throwing the
Sauce. Maybe not Sauce.
throwing the throwing the bet out here early.
Oh,
Sauce Gardner not only has a pick in this game,
Sauce.
Sauce Gardner has a pick 6 in this game.
I hate to go against you on this because I really like Sauce, but all right. So Sauce Gardner pick 6. I like it. All right.
Um,
There's our prop bet
and
of the week.
I will take the Jets to
You like the?
cover this spread.
Let's
I'll go one
go.
further. I'll take the Jets to win
No
outright
fucking
against
way.
the Bills. I think Josh Allen has been flying by the seat of his pants the last couple weeks with the bad turnovers, the bad throws. I think this is the game where it catches him. I think this is the game where it burns him. I think I like the gunslinger in Mike White, and I think when you combine that with a couple of badly timed turnovers by Josh Allen, I think the Jets clip the Bills here.
That's spicy. Big thing that came up. We got an out Von Miller for Buffalo as well. Now out for the season. I first of all, I got the Jets to at least beat the spread. This is very interesting. I did not think you'd be picking them, let alone picking them to win outright. I dig it though. I love it. You know I've been behind the New York teams this
Yeah,
year. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going, flying high with the Jets yet again to at least keep this game close. Yeah, and yeah, this has been a Josh Allen that has been a little while with it, not quite getting it outside of really some nice balls to Diggs every now and then. Uh, yeah, sometimes that offense doesn't look all that well put together. I think the Jets, that defense, um, I think they might be able to take advantage, just like you're kind of talking about. So
I I think what's worth noting too, and here's the stat that really turned in my head. Uh, in the last game, against the Bills. The Jets love um, to play like full zone -1, right? Which is
Right.
sauce. You take guy X, everybody else is in zone.
Right.
Against zone coverage against the Jets in the last game, which, yeah, remind you, Jets won. It's in New York, but the Jets won. Allen went 11 of 23 with 2 picks and had a QBR of 2.8 on those plays. Josh Allen struggled with that concept, right? When it was like, Sauce, you take out whatever receiver we want taken out, everybody else plays in zone. Right? Um there was the clip of in that game where Diggs just goes right past Sauce, and everybody's like, "Oh, look
Yeah.
at Diggs burning Sauce." That was a zone concept the whole way. That wasn't his man, right? Um, Sauce has been. I think Sauce this year has been the best cornerback in the AFC. I think he'll end up being on the All Pro team. Um, I think he's been legitimately incredible. He's giving up like 44% on passes in his vicinity. It's been ridiculous. He's got 15 pass deflections. He's all over the play. When guys throw to him, it doesn't end up well. Um, I think he's going to be able to shut down whoever they want to shut down, and I don't think they're going to do that on Diggs. I think they're going to let Josh Allen throw to Diggs in the zones because I think they want Josh Allen throwing into the zones. And I think putting Sauce on Diggs incentivizes him to throw into the man coverage. I think they're going to use that on McKenzie and try to shut him down and go, listen, if you can beat our zone coverage, you will win. I don't think Josh Allen can. He's struggled with it all year.
I mean, definitely seems like a tough matchup. I would say, like I brought up, the pass rush, the secondary, and yeah, exactly that sort of scheme. Um, if they got something that might be just the weakness, you find the Achilles heel sort of thing for Buffalo. Crazy big spread though. Like I was very surprised. I mean, like I
I was
understand
shocked at how large the spread was.
this just team. It's they've lost some traction a little bit here, but yeah, still you're talking about a winning team that puts out an incredibly good defense every week. So
This is a team that 2 weeks ago beat the brakes off of the Bears, who, yeah, I know their record doesn't show it. They've been a much better team recently. They haven't gotten the brakes beaten off them like that by many teams recently.
right.
And then played against a Minnesota team, probably the best in the NFC right now.
They played against AM Kirk Cousins. Impossible. You
AM
can't
Kirk
win this.
Cousins
They
had every chance to win that game if they could have completed a couple of drives.
Yeah, exactly.
They get that little tweak in there and turn a couple of those field goals into touchdowns, they'll beat the Bills.
Yeah. I mean, in the Mike White era so far, it was, that tough game against Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins, and, a great win against Chicago. And then, before that, it was that, Zach Wilson leading you to 3 points. So,
And
at least he's
I'd
getting
like
you
to point out they
multiple
lost
field
that
goal
game
drives.
because of a kick return touchdown.
Yes.
That defense is stout. And if Josh Allen's going to keep doing what he's been doing recently, this is not going to end up well for the Bills. This might be the wake-up call they need, though.
Absolutely. So, both on the Jets there. I dig it. Let's go to another divisional matchup. I think we got a lot of those this week.
Yeah.
AFC North this time, and we got the Cleveland Browns going across the state to Cincinnati to face off against the Bengals. Bengals sitting at 8-4, Browns sitting at 5-7, and Cincinnati's going to get -5.5 at home here. This, I believe, is going to be the second game now for Watson. Burrow, as you were saying, and the boys now getting back a little bit healthier. Got Jamar back recently. getting Joe Mixon, it sounds like, back again this week. Uh, Guys like P. Ryan, all that, stepping up. Who do you like in this one?
Okay, let's just start off the bat. I'm not picking the Browns again this year. Moral reasons I refuse. That being said,
Okay.
this one was very easy for me, even if that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals are a much better team than the Browns. I think Dickhead looked awful last week. He looked rusty as hell. He looked like he hadn't played in 2 years. I think this is a Browns team that doesn't have a ton of skill, even with a competent quarterback. I think I've said it. I think this Bengals team might be the best team in the AFC. They're definitely in contention among the names. They'll win this game quite easily. I think this is closer to a slaughter territory than it is a tight contest.
Yeah, I mean, to be said, I mean, granted, things have changed in the time, but we're talking about a little less than a month or a little over a month ago that this Cleveland team beat the shit out of Cincinnati, a 32-13 game. Granted, at Cleveland, but still, it was quite a housing for a team that, no, you do expect Cincinnati to be a lot better, kind of what we were talking about before. I got Cincinnati myself. I'm kind of on your train. This is a team that was starting to click again, was from a really rough patch early, a bad couple games to start out their season. Didn't look the same. Joe Burrow's getting hit all again. What the hell? This wasn't supposed to happen. They started to clean that stuff up. They're looking a little bit better. They got guys like P. Ryan, obviously, that are able to keep those gears moving when they do have an injury. When Jamar goes down. Fortunately, didn't see too much from Tyler Boyd, but you started to see it from T. Higgins, I believe, and Conklin, right? Or wait.
Yeah.
No, Conklin's on the Jets. Who the hell's the Bengals? Current tight ends. They go Hurst? Shit.
Yeah, they got Hayden Hurst.
There we go. Hurst. That's what it was. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking Jets. Tyler Conklin.
Yeah. No,
Hayden
no.
Hurst. Maurice Hurst? Hayden Hurst. Why am I saying Hayden? Hayden Hurst. Okay.
Hayden Hurst.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, I like Cincinnati. Cleveland, yeah, and really, they got all their points despite their offense last week.
Yeah.
I don't see the same mistakes being made from Cincinnati this week.
No.
Cleveland was playing fucking Houston last week, so take that as it is.
Yeah. And they struggled to get past. It was a slog to get past Houston.
Yeah. And let's go just right from that, since I think we got that one wrapped up. Let's go right into that Houston team. Going across state over to Dallas to face off against the Cowboys. Houston 1-10-1 on the year. Cowboys sitting at 9-3. Dallas getting -17 here at home.
18.5.
What's the line you got? Because I have it at -17.
I got 17.5.
Oh, you got 17. Let's add the half point. Why not?
Okay.
I'm seeing 17, but yeah, let's go.
Add the half point. Still give me Dallas. But they just beat Indy by 40. They're not going to do the same to Houston.
Too true. My thought being here. Let's see. So the quarterback situation for Houston, are they going back to Davis Mills right here, or are they sticking with Kyle Allen? It almost like 17.5. It's just such a huge spread that there's such a realm of possibility that you somehow
They're going back to Davis Mills.
Going back to Davis Mills. 17.5. I had them down for 17. I felt like they were going back to Davis Mills, so I'm glad I was right on that. I got Houston to keep it within 17.5. Just barely. It might be 16 points, literally. They lose by
like 14, 15.
It's such a huge spread that there's such a realm of possibility that the Cowboys absolutely obliterate Houston the entire way and still only win by like 14, 16 points. There's still that possibility there.
All
Maybe
three
Houston could do
touchdowns.
something to keep it close. Maybe. Who knows? But because anything could happen any given Sunday.
Yeah,
So that's kind
yeah.
of my thought on it. Like, Houston there's a reason they are 110 and one team. This team somehow got worse. I don't know how. Really, actually, I don't know how this team somehow is. They feel worse than they were last year. I kind of thought this team would have a little bit more going for them. I still oddly like guys like a Dameon Pierce if they could get anything going behind this team, but yeah, I gotta think they could keep it potentially. Yeah, 17 points. I mean, I guess 17 and a half now. So yeah, I'll take Houston. That'll be our first split in that horrendous spread matchup.
Okay, I got it. They're gonna beat Houston 55-28. And Dallas will
Jeez.
score a Gami in back-to-back weeks.
Okay. Nice. Nice. I like it.
Because they score Agami, they beat Houston so badly they score Agami, and it like
All
hit
right.
it hit a point late in the game where it didn't matter who scored because Dallas's score was so high they were in like so few teams score this many points that you're gonna score Agami kind of regardless of where the touchdowns or field goals end
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one of those games where it's like Dallas is gonna be somewhere between like 50 and 57, and it's gonna be like, oh, so no matter what you do, you're score Agami.
It's inevitable. Um. All right. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Dallas is all of a sudden like there was a point where they couldn't really put up the points as much during the season, but anything to speak of late, um, yeah, they might torch this Houston team. I'm thinking it might just be in the more not crazy blowout possibility. We'll see.
You know what's funny? They're still gonna lose in the first round to Tampa Bay.
Gosh, there's a way out there prediction. You want me to write that down? Damn. All
Mike
right,
McCarthy's still gonna find a way to
Mike,
bungle a first round game
Big
against the Bucks.
Mike. Oh, come on, Big Mike. We'll see. Let's keep moving though. Keeping it with the divisional matchup and the complete opposite end. We just talked about one of those giant spread, biggest spread of the week. Now we're going to a little bit of a flip and a little bit of an interesting one, a very close spread here. Minnesota going into Detroit. Detroit favored -2. Detroit sitting at 5-7. Minnesota at 10-2.
Ooh,
Not what you would have thought.
no.
Oddly enough, Detroit is actually second in the division behind Minnesota on this one.
Yes,
The funny
and
thing.
listen, they have been a lot better recently. They've been like a really good team recently
Recently,
against, admittedly, not great opposition.
well, so here is the interesting spread. This is what I thought kind of provoked all this. Um, their bye week was the week of October 16th. They
Yes.
have a bad game against a good Dallas team. They then, since then, have gone 4-2. Their loss first coming against Miami, a very good Miami team,
Very
in a
good team.
game that they were leading a lot of the way
Yep.
and gave up late against Miami. They went then go against divisional opponents in Green Bay and Chicago, win both those games in very different ways. Low scoring against Green Bay, kind of a nice little
Yeah.
offensive bout with Chicago. Beat the Giants, who were a very up and coming kind of team, a little bit of a darling of sorts in the
Yeah.
NFC, and looking really good out there in the NFC East, as a lot of teams have been. Beat them. Then lose to a Buffalo Bills team that a couple weeks ago was really goddamn good. They kept it close against that
Yes.
Buffalo Bills team.
Yes, they
And
did.
then last week, they absolutely rout a Jacksonville team that had come off a nice little win themselves. So I understand a little bit of the momentum here behind Detroit. That being said, this Minnesota Vikings team at 10-2, not being favored. I don't give a shit that it's on the road. This is Jesus Kirk Cousins. How
This is
fucking dare you? I
this
got
is fishing
Minnesota.
trip Kirk Cousins.
I got Minnesota by a fucking country mile. If they gave me the 17-point spread the other way, I would take Minnesota on this one. Are you fucking kidding me? I cannot believe Detroit is getting the favorite. All that I just said, despite all of that, it is fucking disgusting. A 10-2 Minnesota team. I don't care that they're only one-score games that they won by. The fact that they are not favored in this game by at least a field goal or something like that is absurd to me.
All I'm going to say is you read off the list. Great list. Obviously a good run for the Lions recently. If you had to put the Vikings in one of these two groups, would they be with the Packers, Bears, Giants, and Jaguars, or would they be with the Dolphins and Bills? They would be with the Dolphins and Bills. This is a team who is a legitimate contender. This isn't a team who's like an average team, an okay team, a pretty bad team. This is a legitimate contender team. There's no reason in hell the Lions should be favorited. Pound the Vikings all day. They'll win this game easily. Might not be the hugest score line in the world, but it'll never really be much of a contest.
I actually don't know if I would take the 17-point spread. But that being said, that's incredible that they're not.
But yeah, of course they'll keep it close. They kept it close with the Dolphins. They kept it close with the Bills. Also very good teams. This is a good Lions team. They're scrappy. They don't give up. They also don't beat great teams. Minnesota is one of the handful of teams in this league that we know is a really good team.
Yeah.
I don't get this spread.
Yeah, I mean, this was a one-win team until that Green Bay game in early November. So it's like they've been good, but yeah, it hasn't resulted in some wins. Kept some game close that we wouldn't have thought otherwise, but they also got
this team plays under Dan Campbell, man.
Yeah.
There's one thing you know you're gonna get out of a Dan Campbell team. They're gonna play you hard. They're not gonna give you anything. They're not gonna crumble. It's kind of becoming a bit of a problem for the Lions, though, because they've not quite been high enough because they're not gonna be high enough in this draft to really look at the good quarterbacks in this draft, and Jared Goff just isn't the answer, right? So the fact that this team just plays their ass off under Dan Campbell and they're gonna outwork teams is going to become a bit of an issue here in the next couple of years if they don't figure out a way to fix the quarterback situation. Because it's really the big thing holding them back. They seem to have a true number one receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown with some decent coverage behind him in Khalif Raymond. I don't get trading away TJ Hawkinson. I still don't get that. But, hey, you did it. You obviously have DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, one of the best running back tandems in the league. You really just need a quarterback to tie that offense together, and then you start building the defense from there. But the problem is the easiest way to find that quarterback is through the draft, and you're really, you play too hard and too well to be down low enough in the draft to get like one of those quarterbacks who, boom, problem fixed. It's annoying, right? Yeah. Because you'd love to praise them for it, right? You love to see it. Everybody loves the Lions. But yeah, in this draft class, man, I'm sure there's a lot of Lions fans that would have been just fine if they were, instead of 5-7, if they were like 2-10 right now.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, like, it's, I think there is, I like the ability to, a team that you would say otherwise on paper wouldn't be playing to this level, to be able to kind of play above the expectation in a lot of ways. It sets kind of a culture precedent, which I like, but yeah, it's just crazy. It's such a mess here with so many teams sitting at this 5-win, 4-win level in the conference, right? And then obviously you got Chicago at the bottom of that with 3. But yeah, like, you take a look at the NFC and it's like the 5-7 Lions, the 5-8 Packers, the 3-10 Bears, the 5-8 Falcons, 4-8. You just wonder in that shuffle how at the end of the season it's actually going to look, because none of the teams are like more than 2 games dispersed from being
Yep.
the war. So yeah, who knows?
And the
Actually, Detroit,
Seahawks look like they might be losing steam.
right?
And ooh, man, there could be very realistically a playoff spot up for grabs there, right? If you're looking at Seahawks, Commanders, right, and the even the Giants, right? That schedule down the stretch for those NFC East teams is brutal. They have to play each other a bunch,
Yeah,
right? And you know those bottom two are going to drop games to the top two because they're good, but they're not as good as the top two teams. So, if you look at the Lions, who they end their season with, yeah, they got the Vikings and then a somewhat tough game with the Jets, obviously, but a team that the Lions could very easily beat, right? A team that I would say similarly to the Giants is a good team, but not a great team. Lions have beaten a team like that recently. Then you got the Panthers, Bears, and Packers, right? So
yeah,
especially if you can clip the Vikings here, you are right in that playoff conversation.
yeah. I mean, this is kind of the danger I've brought up before with this Seahawks team. Just kind of jumping on that point that you're talking about. They got probably a game against Carolina that they won't have too much issue with,
Yeah.
but then they run into the triple. They run into the Niners, the Chiefs, the
Chiefs,
Jets.
Jets.
Yeah, that could be real close to a 500 team if it doesn't go their way. Right? They're 7-5 right now. They might
You
go eight
could
and five. They
this
might be
next
8-8 going into that Rams game. It's like, oh boy, who knows
you
what it'll be
also
like.
could come out of this next four stretch 9-7 and be like we're fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I don't
Potentially.
think any
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I don't think you can look at this four games and go, yeah, 9-7's unrealistic. Of course not. They could beat the Panthers and Jets, right?
Yeah. I mean, and you know what? I won't be so much of a homer to not be, you got to be wary. Granted, they got absolutely spanked when they played the Niners earlier this year, but you're still running Brock Purdy out there. And Geno Smith has been doing some things. He
Yep.
certainly looked better than when he did way back then, that game against the Niners there. Nothing out of the realm there. And the Chiefs, they showed a little bit of their vulnerability as well. I mean, not a game that I really would have. You can't fault them for losing to the Bengals, of course, not by any stretch, but a team that has left the door open for some other teams. They've been able to secure wins in games like that, but they've also lost a few at this point of the season.
And
Nothing says they couldn't lose to a Seahawks team like this.
well, that's just it. This is a Chiefs team that kept the Chargers close, that kept the Raiders close, that kept the Bucks close, right?
Love how we jumped from the Minnesota Detroit game.
Yeah.
Ah,
Anyways,
fuck.
moral of
We
the
talked
story is
about that.
Minnesota's gonna win.
Hell yeah.
This
Hell
line
yeah.
is stupid.
Kirk
Next game.
Jesus Cousins. Give me a break. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Let's keep it moving to this week here. Brought up that Jacksonville team a little bit earlier. Got Jacksonville going into Tennessee. Tennessee sitting at 7-5. Jacksonville at 4-8. Tennessee getting -3.5 here at home. Who you got, Craig?
This is a fascinating one to me because
Jag just got smoked by the
they did get
Lions.
smoked by the Lions, but on the
Tennessee
whole,
just got
they
smoked by the Eagles.
have been playing better. Um, it looks like Lawrence is starting to get the timing of an NFL quarterback down, despite the fact that his offensive line is still hot garbage. He's trying his best. He's doing everything he can, right? This Titans defense is not as stout as it was last season. There's some holes there that teams have been able to exploit. And it's simple, really, right? The whole game comes down to, do you stop Derrick Henry? If the answer is yes, you probably win. If the answer is no, you probably lose. Right? It's that simple with the Titans. They got literally nothing else going for them. They traded away the only really great receiver they had. Their quarterback is best described as a Derrick Henry handoff machine. It, it it's just it's really hard to picture the Titans as anything other than playoff first round playoff fodder for someone. Right? Likely one of the AFC East teams. Uh Probably Miami. But like I don't know. I have Jacksonville written down. I'll say that right now.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go with Tennessee. I think they can get Derrick Henry going against this Jaguars defense enough to win this game. Right? I don't think this Jaguars defense is the kind of defense that beats the Titans. Because that's how you beat the Titans. You don't beat them offensively, you beat them defensively. You stop Derrick Henry, you win. And I don't think this Jaguars defense will be able to do that. They're not bad against the run, but they're also not great against the run.
Yeah. I mean, I have Tennessee as well. I think this spread is
Right on.
right on the razor's edge. Exactly. This could easily be a field goal win for the Tennessee, and we get fucking skunked.
If you were giving me 4.5, maybe more likely 5.5, I'd be all over the Jaguars on this one because I think this game's going to be close. But I still see like a 21-17 score being very likely here, like a 23-17 kind of thing. Like it'll be tight, but I just think Derrick Henry will be able to do enough.
So this is the only thing I would say about for Tennessee, and it's still, it's cooking, it's still in the oven sort of thing. But for what little I have seen as far as when the offense is able to move, I do like a little bit what I see out of a guy like Treylon Burks. Woods obviously potentially being able to go back to like a second, which is exactly the prime spot you want Woods in. Westbrook, I'm not going to try to pronounce the hyphen on that. I see a little bit of him as well. Interesting there. But as far as the pass options, like, yeah, it hasn't really been there. If you could tap into that a little bit more with someone like a Treylon Burks, maybe it doesn't have to rest all on Derrick Henry. I think, to your point though, in this game specifically, I think they will be able to kind of lean on him a little bit and be fine. It should be able to sneak out of this with a decent win. So that's why I have Tennessee. I'm thinking down the road for this Tennessee team.
Oh yeah,
they gotta get that going. I don't know if this is gonna be it. I think it's still like obviously the numbers aren't there yet, but I think from what I've seen, it's developing a bit there. So if they're able to tap into that a little bit, there's some hopeful things for the Tennessee Titans. They're not completely lost in the sauce, but Tannehill's not going to get you any more than like 250, and
they'll never
hopefully
do it with Tannehill. They'll never do it with Tannehill. If Derrick I don't think Tannehill will ever be the quarterback where if Derrick Henry's not going, can win you a game.
Oh well, yeah, I think. Yeah, he won't ever stand out separate from that. I think a supplement to that, he could do that, and that's what this team could rely on.
Well,
but
they had A.J. Brown, he was very good at doing that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you could find something with this group right now. You brought in Woods for a reason, and it hasn't worked so far. But if you could develop somebody to play opposite of him and allow him to do what he does well. Possibilities, but it's not there. It's not there.
By the way,
current
not playing this week, so kind of irrelevant to the.
Oh yeah, so okay, not happening this week as I put it. But yeah, and the Jags, like, it's spurts of very hopeful play. I would say as far as like okay, yeah, when he's not getting killed back there, Lawrence could do a little something and.
Fun fact, he's very good at throwing the ball. Maybe help him.
Oddly enough, Christian Kirk has like done all right. Yeah, as much as he's getting paid, you'd hope he'd be doing all right.
You'd hope he'd be doing a little bit better than all right.
But it is what it is. Zay Jones, making that money, but still doing all right.
Again, you'd hope for just a
All
touch
right.
more given how much you paid him.
You're the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right is about what you're getting. All right.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just see the money you're paying him, and I go, we're really settling for all right at this point.
Right. Um, let's keep moving though. Got Tennessee on that one. Go over to the NFC East, and we got Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 11-1, going into New York to face off against the Giants, sitting at 7-4-1. Having just come off that Washington tie. Philly -7 here on the road. This is a quads Saquon Barkley. It is apparently pretty questionable. He hasn't been practicing, has a little bit of a neck thing right now, I believe. So a little bit of a question mark on this game for in that regard. And the Eagles, just coming off of a nice little win against that Tennessee team we were just talking about. Who you got in this one, Greg?
I got the Eagles. I think that the Giants have run out of steam. I think they had an unbelievable start to the season. It played so far above their talent level, right? Like there's still so many holes with this Giants team that they're trying to fill. Brian Dable's gotten everything he can out of this team, but I think they've hit a wall. And this Eagles team, they got their loss out of the way. They played a pretty poor game the week after, and then okay, that was the wake up call they needed. They beat the ever loving piss out of the Titans last week. I expect more of the same this week. I I don't know. I think this is a big game for Miles Sanders. I do. This Giants run defense has been bad all season. They're like 26th in the league against the run. They're not good. I think Miles Sanders has a big game here. I think the Eagles just kind of exert dominance in this one over the Giants. I still like this Giants team. I still think the playoffs are very much there for them. But they have kind of hit a wall.
Okay. All right. No. I'm picking Philly. Let's not fuck around here. No, I'm picking Philly, but here's an interesting thing. I think going forward right now for the Giants, this Saquon Barkley injury, this really hurts their chances this game. I think you sack this game almost. Like this is going to be a really tough game if Quads comes in and he's playing well and he's playing healthy. The fact that he has a potential neck injury and that's limited him in practice, I don't think there's a fucking chance you play him in this game.
Oh, 100% agree.
I think you right now the way this team's trending, unfortunately, is that they have lost 3 of their last 5. They've tied against Washington in a game where they actually had the opportunity to win that game, and they kind of played it slow and just accepted a tie off of a long field goal attempt toward the end of the game. And your only win is against a Houston team. So it's not been looking good. You've been taking losses. Your record hasn't been getting better, and you're starting to slip in the NFC East. But if you have any fucking chance going past this Eagles team, you need Quads back. And if you somehow get this guy injured to where he's not playing for the rest of the season, well, the season's fucking over. And at this point, I think you've kind of gone into a point to where I don't know if that's acceptable. You can't really, like, what are you getting if you lose out at this point? You're not getting much.
Yeah, you're not getting a good draft pick.
We brought up all those teams who have 5 and less wins in the NFC East, or in the NFC East, in the NFC.
There's literally a whole division of teams who have a worse record than you.
And you're in this crazy ass NFC East at this point with something still to be played for as far as actually making the playoffs. A complete shock. That as far as any team is concerned, like you said, playing above their talent level. Washington in your division would probably be the only other team I would say, and maybe Seattle. Yeah, okay. So yeah, there's a few teams that are playing well, but like you're definitely one of those that is
Yeah,
playing above that bar. Um, yeah, I think you honestly don't play quads this week.
no,
Uh,
I
you
won't.
you try to get out there. You try to get not anybody else injured. You hope you play well at home. But yeah, I got Philly by more than the tutty here. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah. And let's keep it moving into the AFC North. We go. Talk about a very interesting spread here. I think a very interesting spread before with that Lions Minnesota game. The same one here. Baltimore Ravens going into Pittsburgh, face off against the Steelers. Baltimore sitting at 8-4, Steelers at 5-7. Steelers getting -2 here at home. A little bit different situation though. Apparently, we got Lamar Jackson out for the Ravens. So you're gonna have Huntley, right,
yep. Tyler Huntley.
back in for Baltimore against the Kenny Pickett led Steelers. Who you got in this one?
I'll throw it out. Kenny Pickett's looked really good the last few games.
You throw that out there like every week. Yeah, I love Kenny Pickett.
Okay. I know the start was poor. A lot of interceptions. Hasn't turned the ball over in his last 4 games. Steelers looking a lot better.
Right.
Against Tyler Huntley, give me the Steelers. I I'll be honest with you. I got general concerns about the Ravens. I think if you look at Lamar's inaccuracy in the last couple months, you can even go back. It's been a real issue. I don't think Tyler Huntley fixes those problems. I think they're going to try to run a similar offense, but I think Kenny Two Gloves is going to lead. Will lead Pittsburgh to a win here.
I am actually going to go the opposite side on this. I'm going to go with Baltimore on this one, with the -2 on the spread. Coming off of a 1-point win against Denver, right? The only thing that Denver has going for them is that they do have a pretty goddamn good defense most of the time. They hit a lull there. But they're typically been a very good defense. You can't really say the exact same thing about the Steelers right now. If you could find a way right now against the Steelers, who, I mean, you're talking 20th in points against, 24th in yards against. They do well against the run, though. I will give them that. You got to find a way to get your run game involved, and that's pretty much what this is going to come down to, right? I mean, I don't think you're like you said, you're going to be trying to run a similar style offense to what you were doing with Lamar. It's an evil spread. I'll give them that. Like, of course, this is going to be a super close game as far as the spread. I'm surprised it's this side of it. I still like Baltimore by just enough. The Steeler team isn't really. It's not good around him. I don't necessarily, I can't really hate on Pickett or anything like that. He doesn't have a whole lot around him, but I think Baltimore should have just enough around them to be able to pick up a win here.
Yeah, I still like the Steelers in this one, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I just have general question marks about Baltimore.
Definitely a coin flip
Lamar
game. I mean,
Jackson.
there's a reason why we got a -2 spread here. I think this could easily, yeah. It's gonna be. I feel close regardless, and so yeah, we'll see there. Let's move it on to the AFC West, and we go back to the big point spreads where we got Kansas City, The Chiefs going into Denver to face off against the Broncos. Chiefs at 9-3, Broncos at 3-9. Broncos going to be getting +9 here at home. Chiefs, as we were talking about before, did come off a tough loss against Cincinnati. Broncos just losing to the previously mentioned Baltimore Ravens there, coming off of 4 straight losses actually on their record. Who you got in this matchup here? -9 on the spread. Just a little spicy here, but I mean, hell, I'll just reveal now. I'm going Chiefs. I don't think there's as good the defense that I do like Denver's defense. No fucking way. Like Denver can't do anything offensively, so where their points gonna come from? Like
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I hate the spread because it does feel like it could be like a 10-3 game with that Broncos defense at any point, right? Like they'll lose, but it does feel like that Broncos defense can really do that to anyone. But yeah, I gotta go with the Chiefs too. I gotta trust the Chiefs to put up 20, 24 points in this game, and if they do that, they'll cover 9 easily.
yeah, I mean it's just like there's just not enough like around them as far as like the Broncos. They just been getting continuously beat up at the running back position, so you're not getting that developed. You're obviously not getting the production you want to. Russell Wilson, Sutton, like nobody's producing on that offensive side of the ball. Obviously, you just lost Chase Edmonds to a high ankle
Yep.
sprain. You have so it's been brutal. Well, like the Chiefs, you lose Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I think they've been kind of nicely using Pacheco for throughout the season, and now kind of poised to be able to step up into that spot. Um, you're talking about the best offense in the league versus the worst offense in the league, and as good as that defense is for the Broncos, just I don't see where they keep up. It's just not there for me. So give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs big.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving along then into might be the I don't know, as far as the late afternoon games, this is definitely the one to watch right here. And we got good old Tom Brady coming back to the Bay. Tampa Bay and the Bucks coming back in facing off against San Francisco 49ers. 6-6 for the Bucks, 8-4 for the Niners. Niners getting -3.5 at home here. Officially Big Cock Brock Purdy's first start. Who you got?
Oh, it's gonna be Big Croc Brock Birdie's second win too.
Let's go. All right.
I mean, this Bucks team sucks. Did you not see their last game? They're awful.
They barely got that one. Barely.
They like
Against the
last
Saints.
second drive to scrape past the Saints. You needed a last second drive to scrape past primetime Andy Dalton. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
They are bad.
Yeah.
Like really bad. No. Not. Not only do the Niners win this one, they win this one laughing. Like
I'd love to see that for the kid. That'd be great.
double digit points win. Like it's going to be ugly. This like when you look at the defenses the Buccaneers have been playing and what they've been doing to them, and then you imagine them going against this Niners defense. Brock Purdy's not going to need the gunsling because he might never see the ball. It might just be turnovers to touchdowns all day. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I think Tristan Wirfs, he's gonna be out.
Oh, no. I didn't hear
So
that.
their tackle is gone too. They're fucked. I mean, this is what happened last week. Miami actually, unfortunately, had both their tackles out in their game. Nick Bosa eats for 3.5. I don't see how he doesn't absolutely start wrecking. Eric Armstead's back. I mean, he's gonna eat double teams all day. Bosa's gonna be working singles.
I mean, I know how Bosa doesn't eat. It's the third day in a
Holding.
row he hasn't practiced.
That's true. I think he still plays. I think they're keeping him. They're keeping him rested.
That's the only way it happens. If Nick Bosa's out, that's the only way they stop Nick Bosa.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, not wrong. Not wrong. It seemed like, anyways, for this season. Yeah,
I'm with you.
this.
I think he'll be fine, but
Yeah.
that
Uh,
is the only way they stop him. They're praying to all of the gods, by all the moons of Anmankara, that Nick Bosa stays hurt and cannot play. Because they'll be fucked if he does.
but yeah, I mean, it's hard to think. This is already a team that wasn't going to be able to run the ball on you, so you could just really dedicate on your pass rush,
Yep.
your pass defense, and I don't see where it happens for them. That being said, I will say, uh, I expect a damn good game from this Niners team. I don't expect it to be like the crazy, like, it's not like they're popping off scoring drives. That's not how this team really operates anyways. They haven't been ever popping off, scoring drive,
Yep.
touchdowns immediate, that sort of thing. Um but it will be a complete grind down kind of beat down, that sort of thing. Like, I don't expect the Bucks to have any real chance ever. It's just gonna be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like continuously run the ball on you. We're getting first downs. We're feeling good about it. And on defensive side, you might get a first down on us, but then it's just you make one bad play, one bubble screen gone
Yeah.
wrong, that Hufanga or Warner, somebody blows up, and then all of a sudden you're looking third and long, and it's over. It's like,
Yeah.
it's how this team wins.
4 turnovers for the Bucks.
Hmm.
4 of them.
Wow.
Minimum.
Jeez.
I honestly think the Niners put up 35 plus points simply because of starting field position this whole game. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's just going to be all day turnovers. They're going to make Jameis Winston look like fucking the most secure ball handler in the league by the end of this one. It's going to be bad.
He's the
It's going to be
guy.
bad.
He's the guy. All right. I dig it. Hey, love, you're right. Absolutely. Um, let's move over here to a man. This one I was surprised was so close, but we'll see as we go forward. Carolina going into Seattle. We got the Panthers coming in at 4-8. Seattle, the Seahawks sitting at 7-5. Seahawks getting -3.5 here at home. Interestingly enough, um, this is a Panthers team that is coming off of a decent enough win, albeit against Denver, and that was a couple weeks ago. They've had a bye since then. Seattle coming off of that last second scrape by the Rams, but prior to that, lost against the Raiders and that previously mentioned Bucks team. Who you got in this one?
Who do I got in this one? Fuck. You know what? You start. Oh.
It's gonna be another one. What? Okay, first of all, you told us before. What do you have written down?
I'm looking for it. Hold on.
Oh no, it
Hold
was that
on.
up in the air.
I remember thinking about it. Did I even write it down?
Oh god,
Shit.
he's picking wild.
I'm freaking wild. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Give me the. I'm so torn on this one because this feels like the kind of fucking game that for no reason at all Miami just drops.
My
Or Seattle.
Okay.
Just
I was like, wait.
I was looking because I was looking for it, and the next game I have on my list is the Miami LA game.
That is.
This feels like the kind of game that for no fucking reason at all Seattle just drops because they do just look like they've run out of a little bit of gas. But I still believe they're the better team. So I'm going to hit Seattle here. But man, I could easily see Carolina pegging them off on this one. Give me Seattle. I do think they'll win, and I think they'll win by enough to cover the spread. It's only 4, right?
3.5.
3.5. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll take Seattle, but begrudgingly. I do think this feels like the kind of game where we see the end of Seattle's playoff push. I just think they've run out of gas. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I was I was preaching
You
this.
were
I
you were
was
on it. You were
preaching
on it.
it. You know what I'm
I
feeling.
believed in them. I
But
believe.
I do believe, and I said it before, I do believe this is one of the games they do pick up a win on. 3.5, again, evil fucking spread, because 3 is right where I want to cut this off. I do believe they're gonna win though, so I can't justify that with the half the point. So I'm gonna go with Seattle on this one. I think this is one of their last wins of the year though.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
This and the
Um,
Rams. That's it. They're lucky they ain't on the Rams.
they could, uh, uh, but here's the thing too, right? Like, let's say they win this one, they win the Rams one. You get a sneaky win in there against the Jets, and boom, you're a playoff team,
I think
right?
I think I think the Jets are absolutely a better team.
I don't.
That defense, dude, that defense. And
Yeah,
Seattle's not the defense, dude. I
no, but Seattle's offense is significantly better than the Jets,
True. But
right?
I think the Jets defense is top. Like you're absolutely I'd say right there in the top 5 defense in the league.
I think of them as very similar teams, as teams who are playing well above general expectations, but are starting to hit a bit of a wall
Yeah.
in that there's a ceiling that you're a team like that's not really going to get above, right? And they've been punching at it all season, but
Yeah.
I guess I don't think they can get there. I look at them, the Giants, and the Jets in a very similar vein.
For me, it's the Jets are a incredibly good defensive team that has the ability to drive the ball down and kick field goals all the game, as opposed to the Seattle Seahawks team, which doesn't have a good defense, can get blown out by any given team, and I think the offense will let you down from time to time, for sure. It's not going to be consistently putting those numbers out, especially when you have the issues with
Yeah,
Kenneth Walker being out and that sort of thing. That was kind of a real big cog to your offense, I feel.
that is huge. Losing
Kenny walks, dude.
losing
It
losing
hurts.
K9 is bad. Um, but I am not fully given up on the Seahawks yet. I feel like they've hit a bit of a wall. This game is a swing game to me. You beat the Panthers, right? You're probably going to lose to the Niners and Chiefs.
Yeah,
But as long as you get this win and you come out of that Niners and Chiefs back-to-back loss 8-7,
right.
you can go into those last 2 games knowing even if we split them, we're probably a playoff team in the NFC. Um, I think if you win this one, it gives you enough to going into those last 2 games to just really get you up for them. I think if you lose this one, you might lose out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I still have. I think Seattle will compete. I think they
Yeah,
win this game. I think they win
yeah.
it by more than the spread. But yeah, going forward, we will see. That's gonna be those are gonna be some interesting games, especially if it shakes out like that for them. Let's keep it going. Moving on to the next one here. AFC matchup.
Game that I
That's
was reading earlier.
got that Miami Dolphins
You
against
know who I
the
got.
LA Chargers. 8-4 Dolphins. 6-6 Chargers. So, all right, what do you got behind the pick then?
Um, the Chargers suck.
Yeah,
and Miami doesn't.
that's right on the fucking money, dude. That's actually precisely what we're going for. The Chargers actually a this is one of the worst 6-6 teams I've ever seen. No,
Uh,
no. Oddly enough, they should be one of the better 6-6 teams you've ever seen because of who they
Justin
got at.
Herbert is really good. I do want to throw that out there. Justin Herbert is a really good quarter. He reminds me so much of what this fucking team did to Philip Rivers.
Jeez.
Because somehow for years the league was gaslit into believing that Philip Rivers is somehow not a very good quarterback. And that because he played with the fucking Chargers, they were gaslit into believing that Philip Rivers fucking sucks for some reason. I feel like we're doing it to Justin Herbert too. Justin Herbert's very good. He has had to deal with his top two receivers being injured almost the whole season and still has put up pretty damn decent numbers. It's a shame this offense is garbage. Uh,
Yeah.
fuck. Like, yeah, they're bad. This they're hurt. I will preface that this defense has been unfortunately just destroyed by injuries. Anybody who was going to be helped to them has been pulled apart by injuries, right? Guys like Sebastian Joseph Day, guys like Bryce Callahan, they've missed Jackson for a lot of the year. Derwin James has been hurt for a lot of the year. Like anybody who could have been helped to this defense has been hurt for a lot of the year. They still suck. And the Dolphins still don't.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Dolphins ran into a tough team.
Yep.
And yeah, with their tackles out and that sort of thing, that was just going to be a very tough game. I think they are still one of your very good teams there in the AFC, no doubt about it. As we were kind of talking about those tiers beforehand. I don't know if we did. Did we mention it? I know we brought up KC,
Yeah.
we brought up Buffalo.
Yeah, we mentioned them in that tier. We
Yeah,
mentioned it was Buffalo, KC, Miami,
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, and Baltimore.
Okay, and even yeah, I would say
Yeah,
Baltimore.
as the that was the tier of like the 8 and 4 teams, and then we said like even you look at the 7 and 5 teams, they're like a real step below
Yeah,
that tier.
but yeah, this is a brutal one for the Chargers. This is another like you go into the season. All right, we fucked up and we didn't get it last season. We should have been there. No problem. We get it done this season, and
I
not
will say
at all.
they get much more of a pass to me than Denver and
Las Vegas,
Las Vegas because
right?
Denver, you fucked up. You grabbed a guy that you thought was going to be a great quarterback, fucking wasn't. Las Vegas, you fucked up. You brought in a coach who can't coach. It's a bit of a problem. The Chargers, actually, I still like everything they did. Just all their guys got hurt. Sebastian Joseph Day would have been a fantastic addition to this line if he could play. J.C. Jackson getting hurt really kind of sucks. Would have been a great addition to that cornerback group. You had Derwin James there, and you thought he was going to be a linchpin, and then he got hurt, right? Like you can't plan for your entire defense getting hurt,
Yeah.
right? There's just so they get a bit more of a pass to me than those other teams because it's
Yeah.
like
It's just
we brought in the pieces that would have helped if they could stay healthy.
I think it goes, injuries fucking happen, and so you got to have depth there that can play.
But even their depth pieces are getting hurt, right?
Yeah, I
Even
mean, it gotta be next guy. I mean, like, hey, you're talking to a guy who's very hopeful about his third string quarterback, all right? I know when you need depth pieces, all right? We've been there. We've done that. We've been on fourth quarterbacks. We've been on fucking. No, but realistically, yeah, the Chargers, they've gone a pretty raw deal as far as.
practice squad defensive tackle that you had to promote got
Yeah,
immediately injured in the first game he
yeah.
played.
They. But the thing is, this is a team that cut a guy like Jerry Tillery, and I don't know why he exactly did it. I know he might
I
not
know
have
why you
been,
did that because he's fucking shit.
but he's a body at this point, and you just need bodies that can kind of play. I think he's got to raise the bar above whoever the fuck you're putting in there now.
I would take a swing at a rookie who hadn't, you know, wasn't drafted, didn't really get a shot by anyone over the I know Jerry Tillery fucking sucks. I don't want to give him another go.
I suppose. I mean, there's something to be said about that. I guess you get guys up there. I don't know. I just think there's teams that have been able to deal with a string of injuries, and still kind of come out the other side. It's not like it's impossible for the Chargers at this point. They're still a 500 team. Maybe they turn around all of a sudden. This is a game where it would be a credible win for them if they're able to pick it up. But yeah, Miami. I think they bounce back. They play this solid. They get this win, and they get it by more than the 3 that they're being given right now.
They have 13 players on IR right
Yeah,
now.
tough.
Fuck, including 5 different nose tackles.
Yeah, yeah. Damn.
And
Uh,
that's not even mentioning Joey Bosa.
yeah.
Jalen Guyton certainly would have helped your wide receiver position right now. Rashawn Slater would have been nice on that offensive line. Some Isaac Weaver at center wouldn't have hurt any. Like it's just brutal. Their kicker got hurt. Dustin Hopkins is on IR.
Yeah.
They had to bring in Dicker the kicker.
Yep. That's right.
I yeah, I
Okay.
give the
That's right.
Chargers way more of a pass than the other AFC West teams that have failed because it's
No,
like,
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean,
fuck,
there's a reason
that's
behind
that's
it.
brutal.
There's a reason behind it for sure.
Yeah.
Give it that.
But
Um,
that being said, the team that they're playing sucks, and the Dolphins will beat them.
let's go to a couple teams that maybe don't have any excuse for being trash, and we'll go. We'll go into it. This is gonna be your Monday night game. Hope you all enjoy. We got the New England Patriots going into Arizona to face off against the Cardinals. Patriots sitting at 6-6. Cardinals at 4-8. Cardinals getting +1.5 at home. Who you got in this one? It's it's been rough for both these teams. I mean, granted, again, this is another 500 team we're talking about in the Patriots, coming off 2 straight losses though against 2 pretty good opponents. Cardinals having played just that Chargers team we were talking about, and the Niners, so coming off a couple of losses themselves. Um, and yeah, Cardinals losers of 4 of their last 5, only win against the Rams. Yikes. I'll tell you right now, I got the Pats.
I got the Cards.
You got the Cards. Oh shit. Let's go. All right.
There is
Another split.
there has always been one chink in the armor of Bill Belichick. His defenses struggle against quarterbacks who can move. Mobile quarterbacks always been a bit of an issue for Bill Belichick defenses. Kyler Murray can move. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he's got legs on him. I still don't like this Patriots offense. Mac Jones is still a little bit too inconsistent of a thrower. Um, I, I, you got to pick somebody.
Yeah.
Cardinals, I guess.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's just a thought that the Cardinals have just been just really that bad at times. They've had some interesting games where they've like kept up for a while and then they lose. Um, both these teams, oddly enough, had very similar results against Minnesota. Um, Cardinals losing late October, 34-26. Pats losing a couple weeks ago, 33-26 against Minnesota. So there's a funny little similarity, I suppose, between the two teams there. But yeah, I mean, this is like these are the really tough ones. These are probably the hardest games to pick. I feel like both teams, they're really underperforming in general. They really don't have a secure player, consistent player in the quarterback spot. It feels like for the most part, Murray's a little bit better as far as turning it around and having some better stat numbers looking at other times he looks absolutely lost out there. So I like New England. I like their defense, certainly, is what I like in New England. So kind of going to hang hat around with that and think that New England will come out on top. 1.5 point spread here, so it's kind of a pick 'em to me. So yeah, I got the Pats.
I I mean, I hate to go back to it. I just feel like we didn't see much. Bailey Zappi just looks like a better quarterback than Mac Jones. Right? And I feel like until Bill swallows his pride on that one, this Patriots offense is just going to continue to sputter.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they need a lot of things to start turn around. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, the quarterback would be um, a bit of a place, right? I don't know how much you necessarily move the needle, but I couldn't. I can't hate the argument of that as far as going with Zappy as far as giving you a better choice within the game. The only thing, and I've brought up before, the reason why you stick with Mac Jones is because you've stuck with Mac Jones. You've kind of put your chips behind this guy basically, and so to stick it out is a stubborn move perhaps, but at the same time, I mean, the kid gets it right, it pays dividends, that sort of thing, and he's stuck with the guy, like, and the confidence stayed there, that sort of thing with him, I guess. But it's tough to say, and at this point, yeah, the play isn't justifying it. You're not moving the needle, I feel like, too much either way, but you're probably getting a better opportunity to win in
Yeah.
this specific game with Zappy.
I mean, since October, Mac Jones has had one game where he threw for over 250 yards. The only other one, uh, and outside of another game where he threw for 246 against the Jets, he hasn't thrown over 200.
Right.
Right? Like in modern day NFL, you can't win many games like that. Right? You can't be throwing 147 yards, 156 yards, right? Like, especially this isn't on like 10 of 12. These are on 20, 30 completions where he's getting 170 yards,
Yeah, I
right?
mean,
Like, the ball's not moving.
and this goes back to, I think it was last week or the week before. I can't remember when that clip came out, but it's a clearly frustrated Mac Jones yelling at somebody that the quick passes aren't fucking working, basically.
Yeah.
Around the idea that this team throws a shit ton of just like bubble screens and plays
Quick
that just
slants.
aren't getting them yards down the field. I think Mac might recognize that if that quote was anything go. I think it was just a lip read. I don't think we actually heard the audio of it. But yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. And who do you have calling plays for you right now as the Patriots? Matt fucking Patricia.
Matt Patricia.
Why the fuck is Matt Patricia calling plays for you? In what realm should he be calling plays for you? Right
Oh,
now,
don't worry, he'll be the coach of the
on
Raiders next season.
on staff, he is the offensive line coach. He hasn't played. He wasn't known as an offensive coach when he was head coach. He was a defensive coach. Why is he called? And an interesting quote came out, and this is where kind of a little bit is the Vance something. I can't remember his last
Vance
name right.
Joseph.
Is it Vance Joseph for the
Yeah,
Cardinals?
the Patricia's play calling reflects Patricia's roots quote.
he's a defensive coach. He calls the game very safe, and I can't argue with him. That's kind of how this. It's how I run my offense when I am scared to make a mistake in Madden.
Yep.
I'm throwing shitty short passes. I gotta get this ball down the field because everybody's jamming me at the line. Yeah, you gotta fix that shit. Simple enough. Start. Yeah, it's a product of the play calling too, and I don't think they're in a good situation. When you don't put a true offensive coordinator and a play caller behind running your offense, it's not going to be a good offense. It doesn't matter who
No.
you're putting back there for the most part. Zappy doesn't have crazy numbers either. It's just probably moving the meter a little bit better, but that's about it. You can only do so much. Both guys are going to get 200 yards, maybe, and throw the ball way more than they rush it because they can't rush the ball for shit.
Yeah, that's true.
They try, but they can't. You're talking about the 23rd rushing yards per game, uh, team in the league, but I feel like they try to rush the ball all the time, and they just can't do it for shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The whole Patriots team feels like a mess right now.
That being said, I take the Pats in this game.
Well, that being said, we could do the same spiel on the Cardinals, and
Oh.
it would be a lot worse. They're a much bigger mess than the Patriots right now.
I think
I just feel like in this game they find a way to be less of a mess for 4 quarters.
Call of Duty just came out. Murray's got only so much time in a given day. All right,
True, that's true.
study film or hit the war zone, baby. I got my KD up.
Dropping into that war zone.
Face clan, like fuck that. Yeah,
Fuck, what am I
fuck
thinking?
film. Fuck film. That's happening over there. And this team's already done. Fuck it. Well, yeah, I'm gonna play games. What? We're gonna make the playoffs now? Playoffs? It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Well, be lucky to win a game.
And the team might. His team might as it goes down toward the end. This is probably one of their most winnable ones right here. But let's Sharks up 4-1. Let's go, baby. Let's go through the picks right there. That's the sweep. That's the entire rest of the week. The buys we didn't go over. We got Craig's Atlanta Falcons. We got the Chicago Bears. We got Green Bay Packers, Indianapolis Colts, New Orleans Saints, and Washington Commanders all on bye right there.
We'll throw it out there quickly with the Falcons officially announcing Desmond Ridder as their starting quarterback going forward.
Good time to do it off of bye week.
I said
Get that more time.
I did say it, right? Like, if you hit that bye,
you get one more run at this thing, basically, for the Falcons. Sitting where they are, 5-8, but they have a Buccaneers team that's about to potentially take a loss against the Niners. You're going to be a game out.
Drop 6 and 7.
You're going to be a game out.
And you'll be a game back. And I believe the schedule isn't daunting going forward. Yeah, you got your last 4 games are Saints, Ravens, Cardinals, Bucks, right? Outside of that Ravens game, 3 very winnable games, especially if you think you can catch the Bucks for that division.
Yeah. But let's dip into it, just real quickly overviewing it. The games we had decided and the splits that we have on those games. We got Houston and Dallas. That's a minus 17.5 spread in favor of Dallas. I have Houston to be able to keep it within that. Craig has it over that. Jesus Christ. We got Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh getting the -2 there. Very interesting quarterback mix-up situation there for Baltimore. I still have Baltimore being able to pull it out. Craig has Pitt. And then lastly, that Monday night game, we got New England going into Arizona to face off against the Cards. Cards getting +1.5 at home. I got New England to be able to stick it out and get a win. Above that, Craig has the Cards. So there we go. Just those 3 games in the split. Otherwise, we are evened up across the board there. Should be very interesting slate. I'm looking forward. Honestly, I all eyes for me are going to be early morning Sunday, that Jets-Buffalo game. Because the fact that you picked them to win, that's going to be, and the pick 6 bets on there. I love it, man. Let's go. That's going to be a fun game to watch.
And the strange thing about the Jets to win thing is like I'm not like, oh, that feels like I am strangely confident in it.
There we
I'm
go.
like, listen, the matchup just doesn't work for the Bills here.
There we go. Um, Alrighty then. Well, that will do it on the slate of NFL games there. I got a little something, but Craig, first, if there's anything you want to talk about outside of potentially NFL, some extra points here on what's happening around the sports world here. I know, obviously, we were deep into it. We got the World Cup going on, baby,
We
and we
got the
got
World Cup crazy ass day today.
yes,
Friggin' insane day with two games going to penalties, both of them wildly so. Brazil scoring in the first half of extra time, only to concede in the second half of extra time, then lose to penalties against a Croatia team that does not lose in penalties. Followed by Argentina being up 2-0 in a game that was boring as shit for the first 80 minutes. It was a walkover. And then Wout Weghorst came on and said, not so fast. Brings that one to penalties, only to lose in penalties. A bit of a heartbreaker for the Dutch. Tomorrow's game should be pretty fun, especially that England-France game. Uh, they hate each other.
yeah,
They hate each other so much.
yeah.
It's going to be fun.
My brother-in-law is English, and the amount of shit talk. It's not like I'm French or anything like that. He's just hating on yeah. So
I got Portugal, England coming out of those games, by the way.
all right, hey, all
and
right,
then and then I think it's going to be an Argentina Portugal final,
there we go. All right,
and which would be particularly crazy because it would be Lionel Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo to see who gets that World Cup on their legacy.
nice.
One does, one doesn't. This is the last ride for both of them.
Yeah, yeah. Damn.
That is the final FIFA is begging for.
And of course, won't ask you for those final picks. We got to keep a little something for the. Make sure you check it out. Sportscliches.ca. We got our boy Craig on the blogs. He's writing up a dissertation right now on the entirety of the college playoff
All
atmosphere.
41 games. If you want to know, I'll throw out a little preview for you. For every team in the bowl season, in case you're ever like, I want to tune into a bowl game, but I know nothing about UAB and Miami of Ohio, who will be the first game up in bowl season. I will give you both teams' records and conference records, their total offense, total defense, scoring offense, and scoring defense stats, who their best win was, who their worst loss was, the key player to look out for on each team, plus a prediction of the game going down, who I got winning. If you will know these teams by the end of this blog, because I'm done 5 of the games of the 41 bowl games, and I'm already 3,000 plus words in.
So if you need like the nighttime read, like, and if it takes you a really long time to go to sleep, this is gonna be it right here.
Oh yeah.
Also, Also, I know Greg. He had some predictions. I gotta imagine maybe as we're getting toward the end here, maybe a little World Cup stuff toward the end.
I will probably throw out a finals prediction,
Thank
and
you.
probably a bit of a recap on the tournament as a whole.
Excellent.
Right, just kind of giving some surprises of the tournament, teams that I thought were really fun. Spoiler alert: Morocco is going to be a lot of that.
There we go.
But yeah, I'll throw up a little tournament recap and maybe a prediction for the final all in one. But again, that final's going to be coming out right around when my dissertation about college
Yes.
football playoffs is coming out.
It's
So
all yeah, multiple reports. He's doing all of the homework right now. But yeah, right there, linked in the chat. Make sure you guys check out all the awesome stuff, the content that Craig's able to put out. I believe also linking our latest episode of the Sports Cliches,
yes,
this podcast right here. So yeah,
click the latest episode tab; it will be there.
right there. But let's see. Yeah, anything else in the sports world? I mean, yeah, it's all the World Cup hype right now. We got some interesting happenings, I suppose. A couple of things in the free agency market for baseball have been pretty spicy, obviously.
I thought you were getting Judge.
I mean,
I was
yeah,
gonna put
a
money
lot
on
of
it.
folks did. A lot of folks did. A lot of yeah, but it is what it is. There's something I guess. Even though it's the Yankees and it's like, oh Jesus, Yankees paid a shit ton of money for another guy. Um, you know, he's been their guy. Gonna stay their guy. Can't really hate that at any level, really. So yeah, good for them. Um, Jed's been able to pick up a little bit of a piece. They're going to be looking for, looking for shortstop, looking for some pitching. Um, Turn it around, hopefully, after a disappointing last season. And then I think going forward, I don't know. I actually, I think they might make some moves. They weren't able to get Judge, but I don't think they're completely out of it by any stretch for this free agency market.
Which is closing off quickly, actually. Like, Nimmo's signed, Bellinger signed. Like,
Hmm.
a lot of the big name free agents are coming off the board here pretty quick.
Hmm.
And for a team uh, that I cheer for that traded away one of our better outfielders in the hopes of getting a left-handed hitting outfielder, and watching all of the fucking outfielders sign contracts real quick and none of them to Toronto, really, really annoying right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're down to like Jock Peterson, Michael Brantley, right? Like, the good left-handed hitters are off the market. You're down to picking the bones unless you're looking for a trade. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Uh, I'm not too sure what could kind of clear up what kind of moves. Obviously, there's the free agency, but who knows what kind of will and dealing could happen in that
Yeah.
meantime.
Yeah.
Um, if you didn't have anything more to cover, I'm gonna
Nope.
hit a little something. It's a little closer to home. It's gonna be actually a really big weekend. For myself. Uh, what's gonna be, oddly enough, the College of San Mateo, college that I am currently been an employee for and for quite a while now. Love the Bulldogs. Our football team is going to be going to the state championship yet again. California State Championship. Going to be facing off against Riverside City. That's going to be Saturday, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific. You can catch that on BAOSN TV, Bowson TV. Catch the game there. It is going to be potentially up to 40-mile-per-hour winds. Foggy as shit. Up on the San Mateo Hills, baby. So it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a home game for the Bulldogs. Really looking forward to that. That is they have been there. They've been incredibly competitive. If you're not aware, junior college, community college football in California has actually been pretty big as of late. At least in the last good decade or so. Folks coming out of CSM have been like Julian Edelman uh, as a namesake. Previously, a home to former coaches of Bill Walsh and John Madden and Dick Vermeil. So we got some legacy behind us, and we're hoping we could actually pull it out. We haven't had a state championship for quite a long time, so looking for our first one in this era, essentially. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow. Yeah, go Bulldogs, basically. But yeah, BAOSN.TV, I believe you catch that on. That's Bay Area Online Sports Network, I believe is what that stands for. But yeah, that's what I'll be watching tomorrow as far as college football. I know you got all the college football that you call it, you cover, Craig. But shout out to our CC boys out there.
Yeah. By the way, disappointed that you didn't throw out there Drew Brown. Shout out former CSN player who eventually moved to Hawaii and now currently plays for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Grey Cup
I was
champion.
not aware. I mean, there's all it's kind of funny. Like a lot of guys do stay in football, but yeah, just in various ways. Um, NFL isn't always the easiest, and if you followed Edelman's journey, went from here to Kent State, and where he was a quarterback there, and then Kent State into the league, and somehow transitioning to a wide receiver sort of thing. So it's been interesting. We got, shit, good old like Ryan Boschetti from way back in the day and that sort of thing. So we've had some recent ones. We've also had, Bill Ring. That's a way back in the day Niners running back. So we got some ones we could hang our hat on. From way back in the day. And the coaching line is actually the most impressive thing. Madden, Walsh, and Vermeil all through CSM at some point or another, whether it was a player or a coach.
Also, current Ottawa Red Blacks player Eddie Elder.
Okay, nice.
Guy's got a pipeline to the CFL, clearly.
There we go. Yeah, so love to see the boys out there. State championship yet again. Hopefully we can lock it down. We've been there quite a few times recently. We have not been able to win that final game. Usually, Southern Conference usually puts up some pretty stiff competition, and I know Riverside's pretty good this year. But let's go Bulldogs. And that's all I got right now. I think that'll cover us right there, unless you have anything you just thought of.
I am good.
All right. Well, thank you all. It's great to be back after a couple weeks off. It's great to be back. Episode 33 you just saw here of the Sports Cliches podcast. That's Sports Cliches. You can catch us on the YouTube. Make sure to just check out Sports Cliches. Easy enough to type in there. You can also check us out on the link that I just posted. Craig's been posting the latest video from the channel. You can also catch our latest episode on that. Be able to also check out that website for the latest blogs on the college football, World Cup, hockey, whatever the hell Craig feels like he wants to write about. You get a 10,000 word dissertation right there if you'd like. And be sure to check us out here every Friday. We try to get it done 6 p.m. start Pacific time at the twitch.tv/Tapatio Day channel. That is TAPATIOJ. So thank you all very much for stopping by tonight. I do appreciate it. We will be back hopefully next week. Analyze last week's games. Look into next week for betting purposes and what the spreads are. And more sports shenanigans on that. So catch you all later. Have a great night. Peace.
Deuces.